Sakaris and Price featuring Jeff Patterson, and now joined by our regular from the Daily Hive, of course, Rob, the hockey slash soccer slash whatever guy, because it's the summer. So you have to wear many hats. You're wearing a basketball hat.
Baseball. I saw baseball in there not that long ago. So
Rob Williams joining us once again. How are you, Rob?
Doing great. I was trolling basketball Phil at a baseball game by waxing poetic about the renovated Rogers Center.
Yes. Yeah.
It was a good time, though. They've done a good job on that in that ballpark.
I'm going to a game in late August. I'm there for a TFC match, so I'll give my 2 cents on that a little bit later on. Speaking of stadiums, you've been weighing in on the stadium debate a little bit, and the Whitecaps Lions future in BC Place. A quick word on that, then, while we're on the stadium topic, because a lot of people talking about that these days.
Yeah, we got to bring the Vancouver Whitecaps back to my beloved East Vancouver, where they belong. You know what? I was thinking about the start of the Whitecaps season this year. I remember just sort of thinking, man, this is an important year. Just when you're trying to get a stadium deal, when you're trying to find an owner. Look, winning on the field won't do it alone. Like you need a lot of money, but I don't know. We've seen it before. I feel like. Do you remember the Seattle Mariners when they were trying to get Safeco built and they were in the Kingdome, and that was kind of like the refuse to lose Ken Griffey Jr., Edgar Martinez era guys, and they started winning and having kind of their best years that they'd ever had up to that point, and then they got the stadium deal done. I sort of wondered that with the Whitecaps. Like, man, if they could ever win a championship, at least go on a run, make some noise in the market, wouldn't that do something to, I don't know, get the politicians' attention, maybe get a little bit more fan support, a little bit more pressure, maybe get a little more attention, excite a prospective owner. And they've kind of done their part so far, right? Like, they've had the best season they've ever had since entering Major League Soccer in 2011. The one thing I just sort of wonder is, like, they haven't quite had that buzz yet. They've had, like, I don't know, lowercase b buzz, but they haven't really had the all caps buzz. And I do think that bringing in their first real European star player to the organization will do that. Like, this is going to get people's attention outside of the hardcore fans. Thomas Müller's first game in Vancouver, like, what do they sell out BC Place? I think they get a big crowd at the very least. I think we could see something in the 40K range. This is big for them. I think they've done their part on the field, and if they can add the buzz a little bit off the field, and hopefully Müller can help them as well win games, I think there's a lot to like and look forward to with the Vancouver Whitecaps down the stretch here.
Are you saying they need a Van City buzz? Is that where you're going with that, Rob? Or have we turned? I guess we've turned the page
buzz,
from
yeah.
The East Van buzz. All roads in this market lead back to hockey, and I saw you sort of did as well, having a little bit of fun with the addition of Thomas Müller by the Whitecaps. You took a look at some of the biggest names that the Canucks have landed over the years. It was a fun list. It gets thin pretty quickly, and that's not knocking your work. It's just, as I was going through it, I was thinking, yeah, okay. I mean, small B buzz, as you mentioned there, with a few of them, but there have been some big names, obviously, at the top of the list.
Yeah, I tried to compile a list of. Now, this is not necessarily like, did they live up to the hype or were they flops or whatnot. This is just purely like, on the day that they signed, how excited were people? Like, how, like, these are like moves where I remember when this happened. Like, you remember your reaction, and I think that. I had Matt Sundin was number 2 on my list, and if we remember that, there was obviously the big splash, Mike Gillis offering the $20 million deal, 2-year $20 million deal in free agency, and then we had to wait like 5 months while Sundin decided what he was going to do. We weren't sure if he was going to retire, And I think people, when they offered the deal and he didn't take it right away, I think they probably thought, well, he's not gonna come to Vancouver, and then he finally does. Like, that was massive, and of course the team was having a good year, and then you add Sundin to that team. There was huge hype on Sundin, and when he finally made his Canucks debut. But the one that takes the cake is Mark Messier, and I feel like some of the younger listeners out there don't understand just how big that was. I included it in my article on Daily Hive, but you can see the press conference is really the part that I think tells the story here. Messier gets introduced. There is like cheering. I don't know if it was any of the reporters, but there is full on cheering. Like, it sounded like, I'm sure there were a ton of employees there. I'll have to ask Jeff. I don't think you were around then, but we'll have to ask Ian McIntyre who was cheering in the room, or get the story behind that. But it was like, it was an electric thing. Like, we see the image of Messier with his arms up in the air and the big grin. It was like the room was really loud and hyped for that. I remember, do you guys remember well, you must, the GVO, the Greater Vancouver Open? I was at the Pro-Am that year. Young high school Rob at the Pro-Am. I followed the Messier group around, and that was like a huge group that was just following Messier. Like, he was a rock star in Vancouver that summer before he started playing for them. People were very, very excited. It obviously turned out a lot differently, and people remember, I think, the negatives about Messier and the things that went wrong. But when he signed, people were pumped. Like, there wasn't I don't think there was a ton of people thinking, well, is he going to take away the C from Linden, and is he going to take number 11? I think those are things that really got highlighted more later because it was such a disaster, but people were pumped when Messier came to town.
The Canuck ticket beat continues from Rob Williams, and we were wondering about quarter season, so we wondered if they were going away. They don't seem to have gone away, but they do have one notable absence, so we'll get to that in a second too. But quarter seasons still do exist beyond just these little 4-packs we've also seen?
Yes, so spoke to my quarter season sources. The people that had quarter season tickets have retained them. Like, they can keep
Stay
them.
with them. Yeah.
But if you want to go out and buy a quarter season pack today, like a new pack, you can't get them.
Okay.
And they've done something very interesting. I looked at the different pack lists. So you got a choice of 4 different quarter season packs. The second year in a row, second time they've ever done it, there's only 1 game missing from them. And I think it's an insight into like the ticket selling strategy. You cannot get the Toronto Maple Leafs on a quarter season pack. It's just interesting, right? Like, because I think it's a window into like, why are they not offering that ticket? And
they're not in those mini packs that we saw either, are they?
They're not in those mini packs either, and they are. Obviously they can sell. They can sell it for a higher price. They know that game is going to sell out or come very close to selling out, and you can sell it for a higher price for single game buyers. So I think that's clearly what they're doing once again with the Leafs game. We've been told that there's going to be partial packs become available. It's interesting that they still are not available. Like, these are going to be, like they said, I think they said 6 to 10 game packs. They're not. I don't know that they necessarily I think that's going to be the leftover packs, because they are really pushing these 3-game packs right now, which they've never done this early before. So just kind of a little interesting window into kind of the strategy of how the Canucks sell tickets to their fans, because I think they're fine-tuning it every year to make as much money as possible, which is their right as a private company.
That's the off-ice look. What about on the ice? It's the final day of July. This month has been pretty quiet from the Vancouver Canucks. They cleared some cap space. They moved off Artur Silovs, re-signed a handful of their own guys on the 1st of July. But there's still this question of, are they done for the summer? What's this roster going to look like when they get to training camp? Do you think August will be any more exciting from a Canucks perspective in terms of what they might do with this cap space? Are they going to finally just give in and give Jack Roslovic what he's looking for?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question with Roslovic. Like, it seems like a bit of a game of chicken. Like, there's multiple teams that have interest in him, obviously not at the price that he's looking for right now. And so it seems like, Roslovic's going to wait. If you're Roslovic, like, this is I would think, like, this is a pretty decent spot to land in. Like, there's, some talented wingers to play with. If he wants to play in the middle, he'll get a chance to in Vancouver. I don't know if, clearly he's not the perfect number 2 center, but he's a guy and he's available and he's got talent. Do you wait him out? I think back to what they did with Kevin Lankinen last year. Remember, all throughout August and much of September, we heard that name, Lankinen. Are they going to sign him? Are they not? And they waited him out successfully and got him to a cheap 1-year deal, and it was a huge win at the time. I mean, in retrospect, you probably like him for a couple 2-3 year deal, but I digress. With Roslovic, if you outweight him like you did with Lankinen and you get him at your price, huge win. But if you don't, they gotta find another body here. Like, they can't just roll in and say Aatu Ratu is gifted a spot, or Max Sasson is gifted a spot. I think that's a really tough way to go into a season. So I think they definitely need to find one more guy. And the question is going to be, how confident are they going to be? Or how confident are they right now that they'll be able to swing a trade to find a significant upgrade over a guy like Roslovic versus just get the guy, right? Are you going to quibble over a few $100,000? I'm not saying give him whatever he wants. It really depends on what your other options are, but that's going to be a very interesting question here. If Roslovic's off the board, now you're really painted into okay, we've got to swing a deal, because otherwise that's a really thin way to go into the season, having Pettersson as your one. I think he's going to bounce back, but then you've got Hedl and all the injury questions with him. You've got Bluger, you've got Ratu also coming off an injury. How confident are you on him in taking the next step right away? Now, is it going to come in August? I don't know. I think it depends on how willing is Roslovic to waiting. He probably thinks okay, I've got enough guys, enough teams that are out there. Someone will buck up at some point. You can look at teams' cap situations. There is some money out there. The Canucks can afford to sign a $4 million guy if they need to. I don't think it'll cost that much for Roslovic. Reports are in the $3 million range. But yeah, very interesting.
The Lankinen comparison is a good one, though. The Lankinen comparison is a good one, because we were told during that whole drama that there was lots of teams chasing him down, but ultimately nobody pulled the trigger. And maybe the same thing will happen here with Roslovic. The last thing to chat about is insider suggestion, innuendo here, of a short-term deal for Connor McDavid in Edmonton, which may be an interesting possibility for Quinn Hughes that doesn't wipe the slate clean or take the possibility of playing with his brothers off the table necessarily if he just signed a short-term extension with the Vancouver Canucks. Do you think that there would be appetite from either side or both sides to make that sort of thing happen for Quinn Hughes?
I think if Quinn Hughes is going to sign a contract, he can almost write it himself. What the Canucks want him on the longest term deal they can. They want to lock him up, keep him here for another 8 years, obviously. If Hughes doesn't want to do that, you're not. He holds the cards here, right? So I think if Hughes comes in and says, well, I want to sign a 2-year extension, you sign a 2-year extension, right? And then that's just what you do. The question becomes, the worry would be if he signs something, gets an ironclad no move clause, you can't do, and then wants to leave town and doesn't tell you, then you end up with nothing for him.
Yes.
But I think that's that's not something that a lot of players would do. I think you take that risk and you just kick the can down the road. If he's like, I want to sign a 2-year deal and that's just what it's going to be, you sign the 2-year deal. And so from the Canucks perspective, I think they don't have a lot of power in this negotiation. The power is with Quinn Hughes, and it's really, in his mind, like, how important is it to play with his brothers?
And financially speaking, of course, you get to stay with inflation if you have a shorter term deal as well, right? So could be a strategy financially as well for Quinn Hughes and Connor McDavid in this case as well. But Rob, thanks for this. Appreciate it. Good to see your smiling face back, and we'll talk to you down the road here.
Good stuff. Thank you.